Hello everybody and welcome back to Miranda Detailing. If this is your first time here, please sit back and relax and enjoy today's detail. We're working on a Toyota Tacoma that's been sitting under trees for quite a long time, so it has buildup of tree grime, mildew, and dirt within the seams, cracks, and rubber seals all around the vehicle. So how are we going to tackle this? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell, that way you don't miss stuff. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. We're also going to tackle the interior and clean these carpets and seats. So to begin, we start with a thorough rinse and degreasing, or what we call our APC rinse. We're going to use Malco Red Thunder diluted 4:1, which is a pretty strong mixture, but perfect to break down and release the mildew and grime buildup. Pair that with our work stuff chemical resistant brushes to break up the grime on the emblems, door seams, and trim. We also utilize the pressure washer without getting too close and compromising the paint. We can safely and effectively blast away that grime buildup from all the seams, rubber seals, and door jambs. The Red Thunder degreaser works great to clean and break down grime on the tires as well. Now to foam and contact wash, we use Meguiar's Hyper Wash along with a thick microfiber wash mitt and clay pad for the majority of the paint. However, we did find a few artillery fungus spores that found their way onto the paint and glass, so we had to pull out the clay bar and aggressively shear those off. We found that using a clay bar lubricant and the clay bar is the best way to remove these, but you do have to put some considerable pressure and focus your fingers with the clay bar on each spot to slowly shear it off the paint. This will leave a little marring behind, but nothing a light polish can't take care of. So we're going to tackle the interior first before we go any further on the exterior. We use Meguiar's Citrus Power Cleaner Plus diluted 10:1. Plenty of brushes and towels, our steamer, and even our Tornador tool to blast away grime, stains, and dirt. The carpet mats were shampooed using Spray 9 and our Mighty Light extractor. towels we're going to be using today are from Microfiber Madness, and these two in particular are called the Chipmunk and the Chipmunk Junior. So let's take a look at the Chipmunk, which is this 16 by 27 inch drying towel. It's super thick, and it's called the Chipmunk because of its design, its striped design here. So it kind of looks like the back of a chipmunk. But these towels are super thick, very absorbent, and very soft. Now we also have the Chipmunk Junior, which is the 16 by 16 towel. So if you want a smaller towel, you can choose this one. It's a little bit easier to handle. But these are the type of towels that you're really not going to wring out when you're drying. You can, if you want, you can wring them out in small sections, but they are so absorbent, they're going to really dry all of the paint, and then you can just hang them up to dry. Now usually I'll use one of these for one vehicle and hang it up to dry, and then maybe the big one here, you can maybe get 2 vehicles, but it all depends on how wet the vehicle is, if it's protected or not, and if you're using a blow dryer or not. So we are going to be using both these towels here, and I'm going to pull out my blow dryer and dry all the cracks and crevices like I usually do with our details. So let's show you how these towels perform. So here's the Chipmunk Junior, and you can see how it just sucks up the water beads, and it really dries extremely well. Now this is a vehicle that does not have any protection on it, so that's why the water is still going to be hanging on to the paint like this, but it will evaporate and dry completely. But you can already see it here that the water starts to evaporate. And that's what you're going to be dealing with vehicles that don't have any protection. Yeah, it looks like it's beading here, but it's because the paint is nice and smooth and clay barred, and it was just sitting out in the rain. So it does produce those beads. But the Chipmunk Junior does a great job of drying. So as she continues around the vehicle that way, let's dry this section. So if you want, you could be gentle with a towel like this and just pat dry, and it will dry each section like this. Do this with vehicles that have delicate clear coat that you've already polished and protected, and you just want to dry the water drops off the paint. Or if you are drying a vehicle that doesn't have any protection like this, then you can go ahead and swipe the towel across, and it's going to pick up the rest of the water. Just like that. So you will see a little bit of the water still hanging onto the paint. After it evaporates, it will look nice and dry. Now, even though lithium sealant squeal can be used for paint enhancements because of its polishing attributes, we used it here more like a wax. We didn't need to remove or reduce swirls here, just glossing up the paint and also hitting some of those areas that had slight marring from the aggressive clay barring. Lithium sealant squeal is super easy to use, and the finish is amazing. Certainly this is a more boutique or higher end product, so if you want to offer your customers an upgrade from a normal wax, you can offer this and charge an additional amount, or simply add it on as a bonus for those regular customers who deserve it. We like to add a little something extra for our clients who keep us busy on a regular basis. We dress the tires with Meguiar's Hyper Dressing Straight and shine the wheels with some Hybrid Solutions Quick Detailer. To remove some stubborn glue residue left from an old inspection sticker, we use G-Technic Panel Wipe because it's so strong. So, right now, it is looking incredible. Now, as you remembered, there was a lot of buildup, heavy buildup, and you can still see how it kind of etched into the paint really badly, and that would need some heavy compounding to remove. But this was just our diamond service. It's a full interior and exterior cleaning, exterior wash, clay bar, and wax. So if the customer wants to go further, then they can, but for now, that type of defect is going to stay in here because that's what the customer chose. So if they want to go further, they can choose a paint enhancement or paint correction and get rid of that. But for now, the truck is looking super glossy, nice and smooth again. All of the seams are cleaned up. So you saw how we used the Malco Red Hot. That degreaser is awesome. Now, you can use it on the inside, but degreasers like that, I'll primarily use them for the exterior. The engine bay, wheels, wheel wells, all the rubber trim here cleaned up really well. Again, it's stained from the mold and tree junk, but it looks much better. And the paint is actually glossy again. They are going to be extremely happy with that. Wheels cleaned up really awesome as well. But if we look at the interior, I know the lighting is bad in here, but the carpets really cleaned up beautifully. All the plastics look really nice, and I did remove this because there was a heavy buildup right there on that leading edge here. So when you pull those up in the trucks, it's a lot easier in trucks. and cars, you really can't do that, but in trucks you can. So I took up these floorboard pieces here, and I was able to use the little Tornador tool and blast all that gunk away, which is really great. So back here is a little weird too, but it cleaned up really nice. These little dinky seats that are in the back here of the Tacoma. And that's just a bag of some personal items that we found in the pockets in the back of the seat. But everything is now steamed, it's cleaned, it's looking great. The seats were not bad at all. They did not need to be extracted, and I am not going to pull out the extractor to clean already clean seats. Do not do that. That is a bad decision. If the seats look like this, then just spot clean them. Do not extract them. The texture here is weird. There's some other little weird imperfections, but it has that funky Triscuit texture, I call it. But all in all, really good shape. Everything is dressed and looking beautiful. So same with the carpets over there. They cleaned up really well. So the inside looks awesome. All the door jambs cleaned up really nice. All the rubbers are now treated and cleaned. That makes a big difference when you open up the truck doors like this and all of these areas are cleaned. All the way up to here. Looks really nice. So all the door jambs cleaned. And we just use a spray wax to protect them. So all the buildup in the back window here, all gone, all blasted away. And all the rubber pieces and plastic pieces were dressed. And even the plastic back here, it's still partially drying. Took a long time to dry. It's very humid today. But it looks really nice. We might still treat this. I'm not sure if we'll use anything, but it's fairly new. So it looks really nice. I'll probably just put some 303 aerospace protectant and make it look really nice and protected. Now you saw on this side a ton of those little spots. Those are called artillery fungus. And artillery fungus will actually literally spawn from nearby garden beds and mulch and things like that, and they will jump about 20 to 30 feet onto your vehicle. They do it onto the sides of housing, and it makes it look horrible. But when you do get that on the paint, it'll be on the glass, the paint, everything, then you can use a clay bar, and you have to be a little aggressive with that clay bar and really pinpoint that clay bar onto that little artillery fungus, and you'll be able to shear it off eventually. Some of it comes off easy, some of it doesn't. So just be aware of that. No chemical really takes away artillery fungus, We've tried many chemicals and you don't want to be too harsh on the paint. But a clay bar, even though it might be aggressive, you can use the polisher after and just polish over the surfaces and take away any light marring that the clay bar might leave. So you can also see here how that tree junk really ate into the paint. That would need to be either wet sanded or heavily compounded out, and some of it is just permanently etched in the paint and you really can't remove it. And you don't want to go too aggressive in trying to remove stuff like that. I know some guys love to wet sand. They'll start with 1,000 grit and go up from there, but you really compromise the paint if you do that. Don't always go that route. Be gentle with paint. You don't want to burn through. If you remembered how bad the lettering looked with all of that nasty grime and junk, looks so much better. Granted, it's stained around those letters, so if you really wanted to make those go away, you'd have to polish around them or debadge it, polish everything, and then rebadge it. Not with the same badges. You'd have to order new ones, but that's really the only way to get into there perfectly. However, for this service, this is perfect. Same with the grill. It looks really nice. All the nasty tree gunk is gone. All of that is nice and clean. Engine bay is nice and clean as well. If we take a look at the engine bay, it's nice and cleaned up and dressed. Looking so much better. That windshield cowl, all those leaves and junk in there cleaned out. All the plastics are dressed. Looks so much better. Tons of buildup along here, all degreased and blasted out. Same goes with up here, along the lip here. All blasted out and cleaned up. Looking really nice. So guys, that's going to do it for the Tacoma. It's done inside and outside, nice and clean. And the exterior definitely was a challenge. To make sure to get all that grime off the paint, we had to degrease it, brush it, pressure wash it. Now when it comes to pressure washing, I know some guys don't like how close sometimes we get to the paint. But years of experience will gauge that. You can see, you can feel how much pressure you have. That pressure washer is putting out about 2100 psi. And even with the tip that I have on it, the pressure is high, but not high enough to damage anything if you keep far enough away. At the most, I can get as close as 6 inches. And I know some guys are going to say that's going to damage the paint. It hasn't yet. Now the reason for that is because I examined the paint. If there's any chips or any flaking paint, of course we're going to stay away from that. You got to use some logic. You got to use some reasoning. With paint like this, it's okay. It's not going to damage anything. The paint is in good shape as far as chips and flaking or anything like that. That's not here on the paint. So you can get a little bit closer without damaging anything. Of course, prolonged periods of time that close, not good. But we're moving quickly. We're moving fast. So use some reasoning with that. Don't just say it's going to damage the paint. That's dogmatic. Don't say stuff like that because it doesn't make sense. Now, if you've had a bad experience and you have damaged paint like that, well, then it's a learning experience. Make sure to examine the paint beforehand. That way, you're not running into chips or flaking or thin paint and blasting it off. Hello, this is Phil with Miranda Detailing. So guys, if you're interested in any of the products or the tools that we use, check out the links in the description below. If you don't see anything down there that you saw us using, then just message us and we'll send you a link either to Amazon or Car Supplies Warehouse. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, like it, share it with others who may enjoy it, and don't forget to subscribe and click that bell. That way you get notifications each time these videos drop each week and you don't miss stuff. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great week. Take care.